Oh man, another year of video games. Can you believe it? We're here. It's the end of 2021. Thanks for being here. Thanks for sticking with me. This is a list of some of my favorite games of the year. The way this works, I try not to overthink it. What I do really is I end up touching and playing a lot of mainstream AAA games with game ranks, with the before you buy videos. So the ones that stick with me the most, the ones I think about the longest, the ones I have the most fun with are usually my favorite games of the year. So that's how I roll. I usually have time to touch a couple more indies throughout the year. Unfortunately, this year I didn't have too much time. I'm kind of pissed about that, but what are you gonna do? We play games, we only have so much time, right? Still, I got a list here of my favorite games of the year. Consider these just like friend bro recommendations. I don't have them in any particular order or anything. Please do not get mad at me. Let's go. First game on my list is Psychonauts 2. I'm just really happy they made it. It's just so wild how it literally, and I said this in my video I made for it, how it just kind of is another game. Like they picked up right where they left off from a game from like the early 2000s and they did another one. It's paced insanely well. The story gets surprisingly deep and human and dark, which is nice. It also just feels like a cartoon, which I love. I'm still a child at heart, I guess, but this is definitely a game more for adults, but it's quirky, it's slapstick, it's touching when it needs to be, and the way it moves so briskly is just really entertaining. Especially because I wasn't the most ginormous fan of the first game. I know it had a cult following, but this one really, really hooked me and made me appreciate it all even more, and more than that, just Double Fine games in general. These types of games, like these mid-2000s story-based action platformers, are my freaking bread and butter, man. I know that probably for a lot of you too, as well, so it was just nice to have another one. Next on the list, I don't know if this is cheating or not that I'm choosing like a remastered collection, but I'm gonna do it, I don't care. Mass Effect Legendary Edition is something I spent a ton of time with this year. I went balls deep in all those games once again. I still love Mass Effect 2 the most, but I have more appreciation, especially for the first game. I think a lot of people dunked on the first game a little bit too much. I think the way they tuned it up a little bit here and there with this is great. This is probably one of the better, remasters in a minute. It's not groundbreaking or anything, but I don't think they really screwed anything up that much, which, is nice. There's a couple little things here and there, but ultimately I was very happy with the package and I just had so much fun kind of going back into that nostalgia trip. So yes, this is cheating because I like the Mass Effect series, but I don't care. In terms of 2021 and hours spent, a lot of it was in the world of Mass Effect, and it was just really good to be back. It was also me starting to realize I'm turning into this old gaming boomer person where I'm looking at these games and I'm like, I don't make them like they used to, but I don't know. Next up on the list is one you've probably heard me talk about a lot. This is not on a lot of Game of the Year lists, but I think it should. Chivalry 2. I freaking love this game. It is just a turn your brain off, mindless multiplayer competitive game, and that's something that I needed this year, I guess, apparently. Coming home and just kind of popping this on, going a few rounds, sieging a castle, cutting dudes' heads off, getting my head cut off, and having fun the whole time. So what I really like about a game like this and why I know I like it so much is that even when I'm losing and dying and I'm lowest on the leaderboard, getting my ass kicked, I'm still having fun. And I think it's just because that core gameplay is really fun. It's like Mordhau if you're a hardcore PC person, but it's a little scaled back, but it's still very demanding. You have to worry about your swinging, your parrying, where you're blocking, but once you pick it up, it can become kind of muscle memory and really instinctive. And then it just works as a really good kind of clash of swords until one person screws up and they get hit. And it feels real and tangible while also feeling goofy and fun and dumb at the same time. It's the perfect blend of chaoticness, realism, and just a little bit of competitive without getting too insane. There's also some good progression that I found myself getting into. You just level up and unlock new armor pieces, but it just hooked me. And maybe it was right place, right time type of thing, probably, but Chivalry 2 totally freaking hit for me. I cannot recommend this one enough, especially if you're burnt out, you don't play Call of Duties, you don't play Battlefields anymore, you're just over that. Try something different. Try swinging a sword in a match with 30 other people and seeing what happens. Chivalry 2, put that quote on the box. Next on the list is Forza Horizon 5. I like the Horizon games a lot. You guys have heard me talk about them. I like racing games, weirdly enough, even though I'm not the biggest sports or car guy. Forza Horizon 5 made me realize I guess I am a little bit of a car person. I know I love the DeLorean. I talk about it all the time, but other cars, I just really appreciated it all. It was very addictive collecting all these cars. The environments are fun. I really like the biome variety. And I can totally acknowledge that it's just like another Forza. They put out another one. There's more cars. It's a new place, new music, more race types. But this one just hit really well for me. Maybe it was just like it came out at the right time. Maybe I don't know, dude. I'm just going by feeling here, and I put a ton of hours into Forza, and I was very happy with it, and I still jump in it. I know it's not like a sexy or exciting choice, but you know what? Played the hell out of it, so it's here. Next on my list is an unexpected one because I judged a book by its cover completely. Guardians of the Galaxy is great. I cannot freaking recommend it enough. This is probably close to one of my favorites of the year, especially in terms of story experience. So playing it is pretty fun. You're Star-Lord. You have some pretty snappy, instinctive third-person shooting, but you're also commanding all the other Guardians in real time to kind of chain up attacks, sort of like action RPG style, but it's pretty simple. It's not like the craziest gameplay, but I personally found it fun. I don't think if you're just trying to, very seriously review the gameplay, it's not the best thing in the world, but it was satisfying and fun. But the story and the world building here, I thought was top notch. I think that they just did a really good job of celebrating comics and Marvel stuff and kind of roping you in with it looking like James Gunn, Marvel Guardians of the Galaxy, and then kind of from there branching out and introducing more crazy shit, diving deeper into these characters, developing way more, and just having a ton of fun with it. It's like an emotional tale. I actually got teary-eyed at certain points. They do such a good job with Star-Lord in particular. Really, all of them have their moments. Rocket is mostly just like a whiny, annoying jerk the whole time. But besides that, they all really get some great moments. And also, the cutscenes are just great. And they even, I haven't seen a lot of games that do this, but I swear to God, the cutscenes have moments where the characters, you can see them get tears that well up in their eyes. Their eyes get a little red. You see the water. That really worked for me. It really sold some of those emotional scenes and got me more invested in it too. It's a small thing, but little details like that just really make this game shine. The licensed soundtrack is so great. They have Rick Astley, Never Gonna Give You Up, all kinds of stuff, and it just plays and it works and it hits. It's got some obnoxious humor. It's got a couple cringy one-liners and jokes, but most of it is really chuckle-worthy, and there's tons of dialogue in-game, and I didn't really find any of it annoying. I wanted to listen to all of it. All of it adds to it. It fleshes out the characters, and then on the flip side, it just felt like one of those old comic book games, like one of those old licensed games that you'd play before the MCU and the DCU, EU, or whatever became big, huge corporatized things. Granted, they've always been corporations, but it used to be more humbler. Remember playing the Punisher game and Iron Man shows up and crazy things like that could just happen? Here, it felt like that again. This game felt like a celebration of comic books. There were tons of references that weren't fan servicey. There were a lot of deep cuts. There were characters that showed up and weird arcs that showed up that I did not expect at all. A big plot point, a big creature was something that I never thought would be referenced, and I was so happy it did. It was supposed to in a recent new Marvel movie, and they could have had them there, and they didn't, and thankfully this game had it. It also had a really great Cosmo. I can go on and on about the characters, but I just really loved it. It was emotional. It was a great story from top to bottom, great characters, great depth, great detail. I hope this team specifically can do it again. Make another Guardians of the Galaxy game and then make a bunch of other Marvel games. I don't know, man. I was so happy with this. Square Enix with the Avengers, not a lot of people were into it. I at least really liked the single player campaign story. And then I guess that rolled over to this, and this just straightforward, regular-ass single-player game was perfect for me. It is the type of game that I absolutely love. Next up, you may not have heard of this one, but oh man, the Artful Escape. I love this game straight up. I played this at the tail end of the year. I heard about it. I didn't get a chance to play it until right before I made this video, but shit, it's really good. So you guys know I like games that are experiences sometimes, just 2D, kind of like how I've talked about how I like Limbo and Inside and Little Nightmares. Just these visually dazzling, mystifying, atmospheric experiences that don't require too much of you as a player. The Artful Escape is like this crazy space odyssey, rock opera craziness. Now, I like music. I like all types of music. I've talked a lot about how I like hip hop, but I also like a good old, whale and electric guitar solo. And this game just centers around that being really cool, and it builds a whole game, a whole heartfelt experience around this with great voice actors, like specifically Carl Weathers here doing a really good job. It's hard to explain what it is, but it's really just this like trippy, cerebral musical adventure into space. It's kind of wacky, it's kind of funny. It's also really heartfelt. The music kicks ass. You can kind of like improv guitar solo as you cruise around. It's really kind of like a simple point and click jump platformer adventure game. There's really not a lot to it gameplay wise, but I like being wowed sometimes, and I found myself just saying, wow, this entire experience. The incredible art design, from beautiful towns that are unlike anything I've ever seen to just crazy, trippy, over-the-top Doctor Strange, weird Guardians of the Galaxy space shit. All of it is perfect. It's not the super longest experience or anything like that, but I think it is absolutely worth experiencing. It's just a good, quick play ride. It's on Xbox and it's also on PC. Like, you can get it on Steam. It's not the most demanding game in the world, and it's not expensive, so I highly, highly recommend checking it out if even like the vaguest description of it interests you. But yeah, this one really surprised me and just straight up like dazzled me, like for lack of a better phrase. Next up, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Another one. This is the theme I'm going with here. Just a good old-fashioned video game. It's a straightforward single-player narrative game that is a roller coaster adventure ride from beginning to end. And again, it's another one of those games like I grew up playing Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, Croc, all those weirdos. So this is just more of that. And it's with crazier graphics, crazier budget, and really entertaining. The story was interesting. The character moments were heartfelt, probably stronger than they have been in the last few Ratchet and Clank games, at least for me. This one really hooked me. Yes, it's just another Ratchet and Clank game, but I just think that at this point, what it felt like is like Insomniac flexing. It's like they are this fine-tuned machine. Every aspect, like everybody's good at their job. The level designers, the graphics people, the gameplay, the writers, everything works, and it's just so good to see as a full package, and it's so entertaining. The weapons were fun to mess around with. I love the movement styles with the grappling hook and the jet boots. It was so fluid and smooth. Plus, you get the old school kind of the grinding on rails thing from Ratchet and Clank. Like, all of it just really worked for me, and it was kind of another trip down memory lane. I've been playing the same style of thing I've been playing for so long, but now it looks insane, where you can see every one of Ratchet's hair follicles. And you know what? Hell yeah, let's do it. I don't know, whatever. Now, next up is It Takes Two. I'm glad this thing has been getting more attention. I've been screaming from the rooftops about this one. It is incredible. I am a big fan of this studio, Hazelight. They did Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which was pretty cool. They made A Way Out, which I thought was borderline incredible and stupid and great. And now they have like this full, perfect package cohesively. It Takes Two. It's this excellent adventure. I've said this in other videos, but it's kind of like a PG-13 Pixar movie mixed up with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And it's just a really good story about a relationship. There's a couple of moments in it that are insanely dark and shocking, but most of it is just a heartfelt, fun ride with good writing, great jokes, excellent voice acting, and really, really good pacing. Some of the boss encounters in this game are like shout out loud great. Some of the moments in this game, and especially how they pick up from one to the other, you're always doing a new thing, at least like within every hour of this game. You're third person shooting, you're platforming, you're kind of downhill jamming, you're solving puzzles, you're just kind of walking around doing story exposition, you're flying. All of it worked so well. Every single part didn't feel half-assed, which is incredible. There's so many games where there's like one mode, it feels like it sucks. Everything here was tight and simple and great. The production value is there, like it's all interesting and cool to look at. The music is really great. Specifically, this like ending theme has been stuck in my head since I played the game. Not to mention the personal aspect, just hanging out, playing it with my wife, we're chilling. She doesn't play a lot of games, but we both had an absolute blast with this one. They designed these games to make you yell at each other, have fun, laugh, holler, whatever word you use, like just like, yeah, like fuck yeah, like just a lot of that with this game. And that to me is extremely valuable, as corny as that sounds. I'm a lone gamer now. I don't play a lot of multiplayer games. I don't have a ton of people to play with, but I cherish this type of cooperative experience because you don't get this that often. One last big game I want to mention is Hitman 3. I reviewed and played this game in January of 2021. And all year, I kept trying to remind myself, I'm like, don't forget about Hitman. Don't forget about Hitman. That's really good. You're going to forget that at the end of the year. And I didn't. Number one, because I kept reminding myself, but what really helped was that I kept going back and playing it. It finally clicked for me. I've been playing these freaking games from the beginning, like the actual beginning of the series. And this like finally works for me. I love IO Interactive as a studio, but I was like 50-50 on their episodic release of the first new Hitman game, this World of Assassination trilogy. Then the second game was just like a straightforward game put out. So I was like all over the place with it. I liked it. Like I really liked it, but I wasn't like out of this world for it. Hitman 3, it finally all clicked. And I think it's a perfect package. Now, when you access all these games together in one unified menu, what you get is like the best of IO Interactive's level design. Their level design, the way the kills are all framed out, these elaborate, incredible levels that I feel like take so much work that it is just like so much fun to just experience them. Walk around in these worlds, see all these moving chess pieces going around without you even doing anything. And then taking your move from there and deciding what to do. It's just really impressive stuff. And as much as I was skeptical of this whole thing from the beginning, I really ended up liking replaying these levels over and over again and finding new ways and unlocking new things and discovering completely different things going on in these levels that I didn't even see the first or second time. There's a lot of magic tucked in all these levels, from this Hitman 3 to 2 and 1. 3 also gave me some good little moments as an actual old Hitman fan. It did some cool stuff with 47 and Diana. It's all really subtle. The story, the mainline story, still takes a back seat, but there are some badass Agent 47 moments that I've been wanting to see in the more recent games, and they kind of went over the top with it before the World of Assassination with Absolution, where it went balls to the wall. This was like that perfect happy medium of making Agent 47 an incredible badass, but not like a movie superhero. Plus, I'm not spoiling anything, but the dance, that clicked for me. As someone who's been playing these games, I was like, okay, all right, cool, I'm in. This is great. Thank you. Check, please. Hitman 3, love it. It's also gorgeous. It's a good way to flex that graphics card if you want. Highly recommend it. I got a couple of bonus games, some runner-ups I did want to mention that I couldn't quite squeeze in my main list. Number 1, Resident Evil Village. Didn't quite squeak it up into the main list just because I didn't love it as much as I was hoping. It's still great. It's still gorgeous. It's spooky as hell, and it was a good roller coaster ride. Also, Monster Hunter Rise. I ended up really, really loving. I liked it more than World. World is the one that kind of finally made me understand Monster Hunter, like kind of walk me into it. But Monster Hunter Rise made me a man. You know what I mean? And Kena, Bridge of Spirits. I, again, just like those single-player, straightforward adventure games. And this one really did it for me. It was beautiful. It was heartfelt. It was charming. The music was really great. And I was surprised how much I liked the combat. The game like got insanely difficult by the end. I was like blown away. Almost turned me off. But ultimately, I still really, really liked it. So these are the games that stuck with me the most this year. Like I said, I've played quite a few. These are the ones that I just kept thinking about. And I just really wanted to talk about them at length, especially after already making videos about them, or some of them I didn't make videos about. So thank you for hearing me out here. The best part, I want to hear from you guys, like what your picks are, especially if you've played some indie games. We need to give them more love. I am so guilty this year of not being able to play too many indie games. So I want to hear from you in the comments. But whatever games you've been playing, even if it's just one, or you played a game that came out last year, whatever you had a ton of fun with this year, I want to hear it. And I'm sure a lot of other people in our little bubble here in our comments section also would like to hear some suggestions. Thank you guys for a great year here, though. It's been really fun sticking here with this channel and just kind of putting out whatever I want. I appreciate you guys being along for the ride, and we've only just begun. That's a song that I'm referencing that nobody's going to know. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for being here. Happy New Year. Happy holidays, all that. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.